வணக்கம். சிஆர் மதுசூதன் ஃப்ரம் மக்கள் நீதி மையம் நார்த் அமெரிக்கா. இன்னைக்கு மார்னிங் டைம் யூஎஸ்ல, ஈவினிங் எல்லாருக்கும் குட் ஈவினிங் இன் இந்தியா, குட் ஈவினிங் இன் யூகே டூ. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம யாரை இன்வைட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம்னா மிஸ்டர் பாலாஜி கிருஷ்ணமூர்த்தி ஃப்ரம் சிஎன்பி குளோபல். அவர் எப்படின்னா இஸ் a chief technology officer, but Tamilnadu background, inspiring personality. And we have Mr. Kannan Swami from UK, M&M நண்பர்கள், M&M friends. என்ன பேச போறோம்னா விஷன் 2025 ஃபார் தமிழ்நாடு. ஸோ பாலாஜி சார் கிட்ட நம்ம ஒவ்வொருத்தருக்கும் தமிழ்நாடு பத்தி ஒவ்வொரு கனவு இருக்கும். தமிழ்நாட்டில் எப்படி நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு, என்னென்ன இம்ப்ரூவ் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஜென்ரல் ஒரு ப்ராட் விஷன் இருக்கும் இல்லையா? அது மாதிரி பாலாஜி சாருக்கு அவருக்குன்னு ஒரு விஷன் இருக்கு. ஸோ அதை பத்தி பேசலாம். கண்ணன், ஆல் டு யூ. The floor is yours.
வணக்கம், அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். முதற்கண் மக்கள் நீதி மையம் நார்த் அமெரிக்கா நண்பர்கள், முக்கியமாக மதுவை வென்ற மதுசூதனனுக்கு என்னுடைய நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். இந்த வாய்ப்பு கொடுத்ததுக்கு மிக்க நன்றி. வெல்கம் டு த ப்ரோக்ராம் மிஸ்டர் பாலாஜி கிருஷ்ணமூர்த்தி. உங்க நேரத்தை எங்களுக்கோசரம் செலவழித்து உங்க கருத்துக்களை பகிர போறீங்க, ஆவலாக இருக்கும். முதற்கண் என்னுடைய முதல் கேள்வி, தமிழகத்தில் இருந்து அமெரிக்கா செல்லலாம், அமெரிக்கா சென்று பல தரப்பட்ட வேலைகள், பல கம்பெனிகள வேலை செய்யலாம். ஒரு பழம்பெரும் நிறுவனமான S&P குளோபல் 100 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு மேல் இருக்கும் அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பெரிய கம்பெனியில CTO என்ற சீஃப் டெக்னாலஜி ஆஃபீஸர், இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பொறுப்புக்கு வர அந்த பேக்ரவுண்ட் கொஞ்சம் சொன்னீங்கன்னா வியூவர்ஸ்க்கு இட் வில் பி யூஸ்ஃபுல் ப்ளீஸ்.
வணக்கம் கண்ணன், வணக்கம் மது. அகைன் காலை வணக்கம், மாலை வணக்கம். மையம் proud to be again part of Maiam North America too at the same time. பிறந்தது வளர்ந்ததெல்லாம் சென்னை, படிச்சதும் சென்னை. 1995 அப்பதான் சென்னையில இருந்து கிளம்பி முதல் தடவையா யூஎஸ். பெரிய கனவு. ஆக்சுவலா படிக்கும் எண்ணத்தால் தான் முதல்ல வந்தது என்னவோ யூஎஸ்ல. அதுக்கப்புறம் பேக்ரவுண்ட் டெக்னாலஜின்றதால தென் got jobs in technology, started learning different technologies from 1995. So I think continuous learning is one of the key aspect of it. I think knowledge seeking and knowledge, chasing that, it's extremely important too. Adukapra in between my career, I decided to also take a different perspective, and then I did my MBA at Cornell, general management, finance, statistics. Adula major pannadukapra then I wanted to kind of, but my core expertise always technology irundhudu. So but idea of getting a different vantage point, a different perspective to what you look at things and how you look at things. Adha initially na MBA pannadhu reason kuda, that gave me kind of a different kind of a 360-degree view perspective of the problems you look at, just not purely from technology itself, right? Also through my 25 years of my journey US la mattum, I traveled again all across US, meeting a lot of different people. It's because managing and becoming a CTO is just not purely about technology, also dealing with people, different kinds of people from different walks of life. It kind of helped me. 25 years I just traveled across Boston, New Jersey, Utah, Arizona, Minnesota, Canada la or 1 year kittadha 1 year irundhen, and I just moved around, went around and met a lot of people too in the meantime. At the same time, I did also a lot of different certification. Again, this is a way of I approach problems, also learning itself too. Technology certification, I think I have around 40 to 41 different technology certifications itself. In the journey the seeking knowledge and seeking how to interact with people, that kind of brought me all the way now at S&P Global last 18 months irukku.
Excellent. Like, one of the things that you spoke about, like, knowledge seeking and continuous learning, that's very close to Talagar Kamal Hassan's art. Like, he's always championing that. That's all he has been talking about all these years. And from long established organization, அது வந்து very கஷ்டம். அதுல ரொம்ப கஷ்டம் அது, to break the glass ceiling and then to become a CXO kind of role. I mean, a lot of people have done it. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible, but you have done it. My question to you is, what kind of ideas or innovations என்ன நீங்க கொண்டு வந்தீங்க? தனிப்பட்ட உங்களுடைய திறமை அந்த ரோலுக்கு எதை கொண்டு வந்தீங்கன்னு கொஞ்சம் சொல்ல முடியுமா?
கண்டிப்பா. I think the last 18 monthsல வந்து look at what S&P Global does. S&P Global வந்து a lot of people know about the rating part of it. ஏன்னா we are one of the probably the top 3 ratings in the entire world, ratings agency la S&P Global ratings சொல்லிட்டு. We have 4 different divisions within S&P Global. Dow Jones indices, the S&P 500, S&P 100, which is a very popular indices, it's also part of S&P Global. And the largest division is market intelligence. We provide intelligence about anything and everything. We have a lot of data about India. It's interesting to look at what kind of data we have about India, forecast, future forecast, how India is going to perform, not only about countries, all about companies. Last but not least, Platts no division irukku. On the division we talk about energy, oil, gas, again all around the world. So the core part is the data, the kind of data we gather, and then what do we do with the data is the kind of the underlying problem with us, or a core, how we bring the data and how do we link it to, right? Whether the financials are whether it could be talking about energy, or it could be talking about GDP of a country, right? All these different data points வந்து நார்மலா ஸ்ட்ரக்சரா வராது உங்களுக்கு. The way we consume data, way we read data, right? It's not like a structured data. Most of the data வந்து unstructured வரும். We get lot of data வந்து வாய்ஸ்ல வரலாம், ஆடியோ ஃபைல்ல, வீடியோ ஃபைல்ல வரலாம், lot of PDF files வரலாம், Word documents வரலாம். So data வந்து comes in different shapes and forms. And the data வந்து how quickly we could read that data, understand the data, and then link the data. Because உங்களோட core problem வந்து just not only understanding the data itself, and then what is the insight, what is the data is going to trying to tell you, right? That's the kind of the most important part of it. I think that's the kind of the knowledge, right? Our knowledge or insight, what companies or countries are looking from us. So I brought in a lot of latest technology. I think the RPA, blockchain, machine learning, and deep learning itself, more on the artificial intelligence, how this data can be brought in quickly, because of time is of essence, to make right decisions at the right time, and how this data can be linked. And the knowledge வந்து எவ்வளவு சீக்கிரமா நம்ம வந்து knowledge or insight வந்து gather பண்ணி, whether people, the consumers, consumer could be a country, consumer could be a company, அவங்க கிட்ட வந்து அந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷனை வந்து சேர்க்க முடியும். அதுதான் underlying problem, underlying challenge we have. So the newer technologies or modern technologies, whether you were looking at cloud computing or looking at data science itself, understanding the data, gather value, and delivering insights.
Excellent. Like, before we go forward on that, like, for those uninitiated audience, S&P stands for Standards and Poor's, and they are actually a பங்கு சந்தையின் ஒரு அளவுகோல் அவங்க. S&P ல வந்து, as Mr. Balaji said, like, S&P 30, I mean Dow Jones 30 இருக்கு, S&P 100 இருக்கு, S&P 500, so on. That is 500 கம்பெனிகளின் ஷேர் ஒரு basket, அந்த மாதிரி இது இருக்கு. Balaji, நீங்க இப்ப சொன்னது வந்து technology is a nice segue, like, because now today we are talking about machine learning, data is the new oil, அப்படி எல்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. So as a visionary, like, you have vision, like, we are going to get into that shortly. What is your vision? Like, இப்போ நம்ம வந்து actual trading floor இருந்தது. Some probably 10 years, 12 years back, there was an actual trading floor where paper were exchanged, like, when people made the trades. இப்போ வந்து எல்லாமே electronic, like, no people on the floorங்கிறது அந்த கான்செப்டே இல்லாம தான் இருக்கு. So where do you see the technology take us? What is the next wave of technology that's going to disrupt in the S&P Mari industry?
So நீங்க வந்து ஈவன் ஃபைனான்ஷியல் மார்க்கெட்ஸ் பத்தி நீங்க வந்து இந்த ட்ரேடிங் ஃப்ளோர் பத்தி பேசிட்டீங்க. இப்போ இந்த ட்ரேடிங் ஃப்ளோர் ஐ திங்க் நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி பிசினஸ் வந்து மோஸ்ட்லி வந்து பென் அண்ட் பேப்பர். ஐ திங்க் we all might have seen in a lot of movies. For example, in the Pursuit of Happiness, people running around with pen and paper, a lot of hand signals. Because the trading floor you will see like thousands and thousands of people are working, right? It's very difficult to talk, very difficult to say anything. So the communication, the trade orders all using hand signals, which is interesting to see. If someone has gone into the trading floor and see what happens, right? The 21st century, the 2K problem, what we had 20 years ago, and all about become a speed, smarter technology, and automated executions. And the last 20 years, that's where the technology kind of taken the financial markets, the trading markets to the next level, right? Because before that, people who know trading floors, they used a communication methodology called open outcry over methodology. Before they were using, I think it was there till 2010. Slower, almost is going out of use right now. So again, thanks to a lot of technology advancements and regulatory changes, last again 10 years now, our infrastructure, networking speed, compute power, again thanks to data science, machine learning, and deep learning, and then start moving towards high frequency trading itself, right? Especially on the equity markets, high frequency trading, algorithmic trading, we call that, becoming more and more prominent. Actually, what we are forecasting is next 5 years, the HFT, the high frequency trading, will also go into other classes, futures, bonds, options, foreign exchange, and the arbitrage level again, it also improve the quality of the markets itself. The idea is efficiency. The wealth management normally is expensive proposition. It always stayed with wealthy people. Wealthy people make more money than the normal people like you and me. So in I think the technology will take this to the hands of truly the consumers itself, right? So even though there are some regulatory changes that are going to happen because of latest technology changes, how the algorithmic trading, HFT, I think, see, they're all technology stepping into now the completely new space, right? அதனால நீங்க ரெகுலேட்டரி சேஞ்சஸ் நிறைய கொண்டு வரலாம், கொண்டு வரதுக்கு நிறைய சான்சஸ் இருக்கு. ஏன்னா they want to stabilize, streamline a lot of things like that. அது நடக்கும். But cloud, more of like RPA, robotic process automation, data science, a lot of data analytics, it's going to take the next 5 years in my opinion, because right now, because of the compute power, the networking speed, we should be able to make decisions very quickly. Whatever humans are doing today, especially in financial markets, we should be able to do that in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, great. Like, for those listening, the youngsters that are listening in and watching this, machine learning, AI, big data, those are the things that you want to get into if you're looking for something to build your career on for the next 10 years. Moving on, like, you mentioned arbitrage. So arbitrage, like, whenever, like, for the last, 30 years now, when we talk about arbitrage, like, you can't stop thinking about what the IT outsourcing has done, because it was all purely labor arbitrage, like, that brought the IT industry into India, and we were able to build on the knowledge base industry in India. That's how our growth has been the last 25, 30 years. So from your vantage point of being a CTO, and what the Indian education is like, you've been through the grind there, and you've been interacting with other Indians too. How would you assess the current education system in India? What are its strengths and weaknesses? And what do you see? How would we propel ourselves to the next level of growth?
Yeah, great question, Kannan. Let's look at some of the statistical numbers right now. India on the right now close to 1.4 billion people, right? Now the India also is one of the youngest population in the entire world. Countries la pathina neenga vandu one of the, how do we say that? I think we normally group by age groups on the 0 to 9, 10 to 19, then you go 20 to 30, like that, right? We have different age groups and do that. And the India's advantage on the, we are one of a lot of people. Think if out of 1.4 billion people, close to quarter billion, which is 250 million people, are in 0 to 9 age group. Very, very interesting data point on the. If you look at the next age group, which is 10 to 19, also we have close to 260 million people. In the ரெண்டு age group மட்டும் எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா மட்டும், which is 0 to now 19, we have more than 500 million people, which is like 500 million people out of 1.4 billion people. And the age group la irukanga. So it's extremely critical at this juncture. I'll tell you why also extremely critical. The education, how the education system is going to be for the next 5-10 years because of this age group. If you look at the last 10 years, the 10 to 19 is larger, but the 0 to 9 actually starts shrinking, right? So what is also denoting is, if you go further in future, our the younger population is also shrink because people are having now less number of kids, right? Population, we want to control population. So we will become eventually, China mari or older population country mari chances irukku. But right now we are at a kind of pivotal point, and the data point which paakumbodhu. So it's extremely critical because of that reason also. What educational system are we going to provide to the younger population what we have to take us to the next level? So predominantly I think outsource பண்ணதுல economies of scale தான். We wanted to get an arbitrage mari, lower rate, lower salaries, so we could go to countries like India அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So we need to kind of move towards knowledge economy, right? Because more than a service economy, servicing different countries, right? Adula how do we switch? How do we pivot to a knowledge-based economy? That means you have to build a lot of other skills, critical thinking, problem solving, creative abilities, like a lot of entrepreneurship, innovative problem solvers. And the industry, we have to unfortunately move quickly towards that within the next 5 years, because you cannot wait for 20 years. Within 20 years, already our population start becoming older, right? Out of that, I think Thamizhnadu I think 6th largest in population wise in India, around probably like 80 million people we have in India, on Tamil Nadu itself, right? And also if you look at 50% of people living in urban areas like Chennai, and then 50% people are in rural itself, right? So also what is, thanks to again this pandemic and COVID, whatever happened, and this health crisis also created a new normal for higher educational sectors itself. NEP or national education policies, right? First 1968 நினைக்கிறேன், இந்திரா காந்தி அவங்க பிரைம் மினிஸ்டர் இருக்கும்போது கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் ராஜீவ் காந்தி 1986. இப்போ Modi has brought something in 2020, right? So if you look at 34 years, after 34 years, we came with the newer policies, right? So the quality of education is extremely important. Again, two aspects of it. One is what the future is going to be, how the online learning landscape is going to look like, right? And then on one side of it, and then our population, and the age groups, what's happening, what kind of education do we have to provide, and also keeping both rural and urban population in mind, because you cannot just address only the urban population, because 50% of Tamil Nadu is rural still, right? From this population perspective itself. So we have to look at our digital infrastructure. We have to look at caliber of teachers. We have to look at how are we going to train our teachers itself, not only in the subjects. I think Kamal sir I think he was talking about skill center and distributing the skill centers across, not only in urban, also especially in rural areas. Extremely important doing those things, right? And also again, digital infrastructure reaching also the rural areas too. That's again very important. There are countries like we can take a lot of examples, like Finland la enna pannanga last 10 years, how they have transformed their educational systems. And again, recruitment of right level of teachers, training them, having the right level of digital infrastructure. And I'm looking at the complete academia is also very important, because skill based learning on the kondorno. Since the question you asked too, how do we move from servicing countries to truly become a problem solvers or innovative problem solvers, creative thinking, or creative ability. So our educational system also fundamentally supported, right? Because still the reason is the way we get assessed is more of still grades and marks, and on the process because I studied all my 21 years in India. So very important, and we have to be creative. On the health crisis just changed the landscape itself. Now, urban areas, it's easier. We could all talk about like virtual portals, education technology, like Khan Academy, kind of we can start. But still, the point is, it cannot. How can it penetrate rural? Very very important. Else, we will leave the large younger population at risk.
Excellent. I mean, you were probably talking about digital divide, which has been a hot topic for the last 10, 15 years at least. Everyone from Bill Gates onwards, they've been talking about that. Whether they have been able to bridge the digital divide, no, we don't know yet. That's to be seen. Before we jump into some of the points that you talked about, with the education things, is alluding to the vision that you had shared. Okay, before we get to that, just one last bit of question. Actually, it's a compendium of a few questions. One is the rating agencies, what kind of the importance that's being given to the rating agencies in the press. And then the S&P, I mean, you have an entity in India, how do you assess India as a whole? And if there is any separate assessment for Tamil Nadu that you have done. And then one last bit was, credit rating agencies, even with if you go to a mutual fund, share stock broker, there is always a disclaimer at the bottom saying, this is only, we are not recommending anything. We are just, this is past performance is no surety for future performance. Those kind of disclaimers, for a novice like me, I don't know much about stock market. You are the expert. I listen to you. I invest my money. But then you put a disclaimer saying you are not responsible for it, So how do you explain all that?
Yeah. So credit rating agency, I think for larger people who are listening to it, the ability to pay back, interest and loan. Main on the US level, we also have credit agency for assessing individuals. Number ability to pay back, and also probability of defaulting. That's credit rating agency or main responsibility itself. Basically, credit worthiness, right, of issuers, and provide ratings to people who wants to invest. So it could be companies, it could be again special purpose entities, it could be local government bodies, or also sometimes you do non-profit organizations, and finally countries. I think in India, I think we have a arm called CRISIL, the largest credit rating agency in India. Stands for Credit Rating Information Services of India. That one the first rating agency India set pananga 1987. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி credit rating agency வந்து இந்தியால கிடையாது. So when you're looking at rating itself, it's a multi-factor assessment. அது ஒன்னு மட்டும் கிடையாது. We look at political risk. We look at income and economic structures of the country itself. We look at growth prospects, GDP, GDP per capita, external liquidity, or contingent liability itself, the debt burden of the country itself. So all these things are looked at holistically. But again, this is not only qualitative measures. Also, a lot of only not quantitative. Also, a lot of qualitative measures also being used. So those are the factors we put together, and obviously there is a secret sauce of looking at all these parameters and then coming up with the rating agency. I think right now இந்தியாவோட கிரெடிட் ரேட்டிங் வந்து BBB minus. Again, we have 21 different ratings. First of all, there are 3 largest rating agencies in the world. One வந்து Moody's, S&P Global, and third, smaller was Fitch ratings. I think we cover close to anywhere between 90 to 93% of credit rating across the world right now, right? And India specifically India, I think we look at again, as I said, GDP of the country itself, and the growth, population growth, GDP per capita, unemployment rate. Interestingly, the unemployment rate on the last 1 year, it has significantly shot up. A lot of questions people ask why this rating agencies like give not only the rating, also the forecast, how the forecast is looking like, the future is going to look like. Right now, I think S&P has done with the stable future. Again, other agencies have given something a little bit different. Again, we will come up with the reasoning why so also. It's just not, what the rating is. We look at why the rating is also. I think if you look at our GDP, we have around $2.6 trillion. That's India's GDP right now. The forecast on the by 2025, there's a forecast again, we may reach around $4.1 trillion GDP. Again, pandemic la வந்து என்னாச்சுன்னா the GDP growth has significantly gone down in 2020. I think the forecast வந்து இப்போ பாத்தீங்கன்னா will be down by 8% year over year right now, right? At the same time, the population is increasing too. So we look at all these different factors. Again, we can go into the details of how we calculate and all these things. That decides the rating on a country or a rating of a company itself, right? I think the one question you asked me about why we put this disclaimer, because end of the day, it's not just I said, it's not only a quantitative measure itself, because a lot of analyst opinions, because we have a lot of analysts, is people opinion. I think we are talking about economy in perspective of India itself. Everybody can have an opinion on it. But only thing is we have been doing this for hundreds of years. So we have the history of a country itself, country or a company, and we should be able to kind of analyze the past data, especially, and look at our the plans, what the country is putting together, and what is their forecast is going to be. A lot of things are forecasting from the country itself, what they are looking at, and also the debt, especially the country like India, developing country. They need a lot of money from investors from outside to invest itself. So we look at how much of debt they are raising, and then where the debt is going, what is the welfare. And also interestingly, in the last 2 years, we are also looking at kind of 3 or 4 different additional factors. The green factor, an environmental, social, and governance. Governance, I think we do a lot of deep dive right now, also in the last 2 to 3 years, that we call this ESG and climate and all this space itself. And the space, again, we are looking at what is the role of India and what is their future is going to look like with respect to those factors too. Even though these are not currently part of the rating factor, but also eventually, I believe we are going to look at that. But most of the time, the credit rating agencies got criticized. Whenever there's a dip in the economy itself, when the economy is booming, nobody questions that, because everybody is doing really well, no question about it. 2000 the dot-com happened, and then a lot of times people question that again. 2008, 2009. And then right now is not truly because of the other factors. It's truly because of what happened due to COVID and Corona and all these things. But still, it's a financial instability, right? Companies are going through it. Countries, collection of end of the day, other companies and investments going on. So at that time, this will be questioned. Because at the end of the day, the country or company wants to bring in investments to solve some of the problems, right? And credit rating agencies, whatever the score they are giving, will decide on the interest rate at which the company can or company or country can raise dollars. Simple question, right? And that's the reason this is being questions and criticized at this point in time. So entire still why we say is take it with a grain of salt. Enna reason on the lot of qualitative factors also going in, right? And then a lot of comparison of similar developing countries, and that's how rating is being put together.
Okay, சிறப்பு. மிக்க நன்றி. இது கிரெடிட் ரேட்டிங் ஃபார் தோஸ் அகைன் அன்இனிஷியேட்டட். இது நம்பகத்தன்மை, ஒரு அரசாங்கமோ ஒரு நிறுவனமோ அதன் நம்பகத்தன்மையை வந்து இவங்க அளவிட்டு அது சொல்றதுதான் அந்த கிரெடிட் ரேட்டிங், அந்த பிபிபி மைனஸ், பிபிபி பிளஸ், AAA ரேட்டிங், அதெல்லாம். Just getting into the core of today's thing, like finally we are here, like talking about your vision for Tamil Nadu 2025. நீங்க வந்து போட்டிருந்தீங்களா 3 தலைப்புல கொடுத்துருந்தீங்க. ஒன்று வந்து சென்டர்ஸ் ஆஃப் எக்ஸலன்ஸ், அதாவது திறன் மேம்பாடுன்னு சொல்லலாம், இல்லாட்டி சிறப்பு மண்டலம் அந்த மாதிரியும் சொல்லலாம். அது சென்டர்ஸ் ஆஃப் எக்ஸலன்ஸ் இன் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஏரியாஸ் சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க. இன்னொன்று வந்து யூத் ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ், லைக் how to make youth aware and then educate them and bring them into the mainstream fold. And then third one was about like house equity fund, அதெல்லாம் பத்தி சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க. So given that these are 3 big topics, so if we take one at a time, and the centers of excellence, because நம்ம எல்லா கம்பெனில பார்க்கறோம், எல்லாரும் சென்டர் ஆஃப் எக்ஸலன்ஸ் சொல்லிட்டு ஒவ்வொரு டாபிக்ல they will have center of excellence, but as a state, as a whole, what is your idea of center of excellence? And if you take like you put 4 or 5 points in there, அதுல ஒரு இதை வந்து how would you implement it? நீங்க முதல்ல இந்த நேர்காணல் தொடக்கத்துல சொன்னீங்க implementation is the main thing அப்படின்னு. அதை நீங்க உங்க விஷன்ல how would you implement it, please?
Yeah, so center of excellence வந்து it's extremely important. I think it's for a company or a country, in my opinion. And Tamil Nadu வந்து they have done few in the last decade, and I think they have done some center of excellence around biomedical, bioresource, and energy research, like that. There are definitely good areas for us to go and look at. So idea on the center of excellence to not only bringing different ideas and companies into the mix, and also delivering end of the day value to the citizen. மக்களுக்கு வந்து நம்ம அந்த பெனிஃபிட்ஸை வந்து எப்படி சேர்க்க முடியும் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஏரியாஸ்ல அப்படின்றத மெயின். அதனால வந்து நான் வந்து கமல் சார் வந்து ஸ்கில்ஸ் டெவலப்மெண்ட் பத்தி பேசிட்டு இருந்தாரு. I believe the center of excellence should play a large role. Skills, என்ன skills develop பண்ண முடியும், and where we can develop also, right? And the few areas where problematic for Tamil Nadu, right? Water and resource management. We need to have a center of excellence around that itself. Waste management. I think if the growing population and the amount of waste we do, we need to have a plan around that. How are we going to control that? What are we going to do with the waste itself, right? And then issues around we being at the this coastal, we have a long coastal area. We have to also think about what we are going to do about fisheries, right? Or aquaculture itself, because we have a large potential. Again, from a GDP contributions perspective, Tamil Nadu is all definitely at the top. I think we have a lot more opportunities we could do in fisheries and aquaculture. Other one, horticulture. Horticulture வந்து actually Telangana, they have start going deeper into horticulture and agricultural research. I think that one of the area we should do that too, and then energy, renewable energy, right? And last but not least, IT. On the IT one, it's almost like the arm which is going to enable a lot of things happening in other COEs also. Change in technology landscape, cloud computing, data science பத்தி பேசணும், AI engineering, அதெல்லாம் வந்து this can all enable things which were not possible before and possible in all other one. And also we have a lot of data about our country, about our even Tamil Nadu பத்தி. And the data, all this data can be brought in and then into COE, kind of look at that in real time. We should, because the technology allows us to do so, right? And then take them back to the people. Very, very important, right? Because a lot of times, I think you just mentioned about execution. We come up with a lot of plans. Even our Prime Minister on the Modi startup அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு idea கொண்டு வந்தாரு. But when the rubber meets the road, I think that's where it becomes a problem, right? I think when you talk about COE, I think I can talk about how we do it as a company, and I think we could take that at a state or a country level and execute that, right? Obviously, execution where rubber meets road is the challenging part. Even before that, we need to understand our stakeholders. யாருக்கு வந்து இந்த benefit in the COE ஆல, right? And what is the benefit? And what is the purpose and what is the expectation of the COE itself? Very, very, we need to be able to define that. And also how the technology can enable that COE can take the benefits to our people, the citizens, end of the day. And where we are right now. So, if you don't know where we are, you cannot go where you want to become, right? And also, what is the current culture of people executing that itself? So because in a culture lies between what is today and what is acceptable, right? Because we have this corruption all over. I think Kamal sir talks about all the time. We accept that, right? And that's almost since we accept that, that becomes also within the culture and within the target itself, right? And also establish your priorities after that. Once you understand all these things, establish your priorities, and then build the leadership team. Because a first line management team is very, very important for executing the center of excellence. And then you also assess the people, the foots on the ground itself, right? And then last but not least, the execution. You need to execute it and then have a constant feedback and evaluate those feedback. And then finally make sure these benefits are reaching the citizens of the state itself, right? So in the areas, I think we can start expanding. Definitely one of the areas I'm thinking is pharmaceutical. I think right now, I don't know whether we have done large investments in pharmaceutical space, right? As a government itself. Again, looking at the healthcare and health issues of the people, and how we could take it, end of the day, to each and every citizen of the state, right? The health is extremely important for any growing economy, right? How do you keep these people healthy? So we have to build some excellence around those things. So once you have that, and then obviously Kamal said, I think I have all the, once he gets in power, I truly believe that he's going to put together a right management team to execute that. Munnor idea and center of excellence as a government, we can bring people all around the world. Again, I know a lot of doctors, engineers, scientists hail from Thamizhnadu, right? அவங்கள வந்து எப்படி அந்த part of the program கொண்டு வர முடியும், right? I think a lot of people wants to give back something back to the country which we brought us, which just developed us, right? So how can we build those leadership or those skills all from all around the world, and then help the government to succeed in the center of excellence? And the program, I don't think even India has done that too, right? So bringing the talent and leadership and experience and expertise from all around the world, people who have just gone out and working all over the place, right? People like you, Madhu, and people like last week, I heard Prabhakaran speaking. There are a lot of intellectual folks all around the world from India and Tamil Nadu. அவங்கள வந்து எப்படி இந்த center of excellence குள்ள கொண்டு வர முடியும்? Whether how we go, and center of excellence is just not only about execution, also supporting and mentoring people who wants to be part and parcel of the center of excellence.
Excellent. அது நீங்க சொல்ற இந்த விஷன் வந்து as you said, தலைவர் கமல்ஹாசன் அவர்கள் ஆட்சி வந்த உடனே இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்றதுக்கு, I mean, like, people like yourself, like, you will become the implementers, hopefully, like, and help us with that. The next point you had was the Youth Service Tamil Nadu program. சொல்லிட்டு இளைஞர்களை எப்படி இந்த எலெக்ஷன், லைக் தேர்தல் அரசியலுக்கு கொண்டு வரணும்னு தலைவர் கமல் வந்து போன வருடமெல்லாம் எல்லா கல்லூரிகளுக்கும் சென்று மாணவர்களை சந்தித்து அவர்களை வந்து அரசியலுக்கு வர சொன்னார். அரசியலுக்கு வர சொன்னதுன்னா அவர் வந்து பார்ட்டிசிபேட் in என்ன சொல்றது, registering their votes அப்படின்ற மாதிரி அவர் பேசினார். இப்போ உங்களோட விஷன், how does it fit with that, or is it different from that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we should not stop just bringing to the voting booth. அது வந்து definitely we want to bring them, but that's not the only goal. அது வந்து I see that as an outcome, right? That is not my objective, right? So objective outcome வந்து or a benefit வந்து we should not mix that, in my opinion. The objective வந்து should be how we should make people understand what's going on around us. That should be the first, our objective should be, right? The end result வந்து people automatically would come and then vote for the right candidate, and then and then bring the right leader at power. Then they can execute, because that's the challenge, because not having the right management team, right, it's the problem. It's not the plan. I think we again talked about the right content. I think plan வந்து it's a lot of times easier to put together. Execution is a problem, right? So இப்போ எப்படி வந்து the youth population, I think I talked about again, we have around over India பாத்தீங்கன்னா வந்து around more than 500 million people the youth ல இருக்காங்க. You take between the children, right, 0 to 19. அவங்களுக்கு வந்து how can you take this information, right? Again, in a way, thanks to the pandemic, because we are all forced to use technology in one shape or form, right? So how can we leverage technology now, like people just like Zoom, and take this knowledge and information back to people, right? We should not talk about politics, right? We should talk about more about the things going on around us, a level of awareness, right? That is we wanted to increase in our youth. I truly believe once வந்து அந்த awareness நீங்க கொண்டு வந்துட்டீங்கன்னா என்ன நடக்குது நம்மளை சுத்தி, எங்கெல்லாம் நம்ம வந்து we lack, right, and where we could truly grow, right, in leaps and bounds, and then that information, that awareness, we could bring it to people. I truly again believe that we can bring the youth to the booths, the voting booths. Again, that's an outcome. Again, that's something we will get a benefit of that. So when I was speaking with Kamal sir, I said the same thing too. How can we leverage technology, whether it is Zoom, whether it is Teams, Skype, whatever the technology we have, like Facebook, YouTube, right? And how we could take all these things. Whether we are in power or not, we should start targeting people, taking the benefits, whether it's technology, whether it be mentoring support, right? Again, growing up, because I hope I had better mentoring support what I had after later part of my career. அது வந்து இந்த ஒரு growing upல கிடைச்சதுன்னா, I think people can do wonders, right? Especially youth can do wonders. So அந்த awareness program வந்து எப்படி கொண்டு வரலாம், whether it's related to language, it could be about resources, it's about politics, it could be about technologies, and then also take this mentoring programs for everyone. அதான் வந்து targeting the youth I was talking about when I was talking to Kamal sir, because that was going to change. Because if you look at the current parties who are in ruling today or who were ruling before, but they never want to create awareness, because awareness will people make intelligent, and they are going to make intelligent choices after that, right? So people were suppressed, not giving the information. I think, which is again, growing up, I used to just think back, if you go around and ask people how many districts even within Tamil Nadu, right, ingala enna nadakudhu, what are the problems, right? People know what at a surface level. I think people these days in age, I see a lot of people are trying to get to know what's happening. But we need to take this awareness and then things going around us to everybody, and also create a mentoring program. It's more of a we don't want to create a channel, just more of going and giving a speech to people. Create an interactive channel where people can come and ask questions, right? And have a healthier debate with people itself. Especially with youth. Right? I think Kamal sir and I think last year or last 2 years, I've seen he's going to the universities, talking to students, right? Now that conversation should now extend over this medium too. Every potential channel, every medium, we should have that, right? And not only talking about politics, how we could help people, giving back, right? That should be our main objective, and awareness is second objective, and then we bring youth to the voting booth eventually. And people not in the 1000 ரூபாய் கொடுக்கிறதுக்கும் 5000 rupees கொடுக்கிறதுக்கும் 10,000 people will not go for that eventually, because the awareness, right, what it can do. Eventually, I think, hoping that they're going to vote for a leader like Kamal Hassan, because he wants to do the right thing. So his vision and what he's talking about, it connects with a lot of people like me and you.
Excellent. நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி is trying to do the right thing, and then we need to enable that, and the youth, they are going to be center of power, they need to enable that as well. நீங்க சொன்ன யூத் நீங்க அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட் அப்படின்னு நீங்க ஒரு மாதிரி யூஸ் பண்ண, அதுதான் இப்ப பழைய காலத்துல 60களில் திமுக அப்படிதான் யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. பிரதானமா காலேஜ் அவங்களுக்கு கல்லூரிகள்ல இருந்து நிறைய ஆதரவுகள் இருந்து அவங்க அதை அவங்கள வளமாக்கிக்க தான் பயன்படுத்தினாங்களே தவிர மக்களை வளமாக்கத்துக்கு பயன்படுத்தாம விட்டதுதான் பெருங்குறை. இப்ப அதை நிவர்த்தி செய்யற மாதிரி நம்ம மக்கள் நீதி மையம் நம்ம யூத் நீங்க சொல்ற ஐடியா எல்லாம் வச்சு we need to bring the இளைஞர்கள் நம்ம ஃபோல்டு கொண்டு to help the whole society itself. Coming to the last part of your vision document, நீங்க you are talking about crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, and then house equity funding. Crowdsourcing, okay, ஒரு மாதிரி எனக்கு புரியுது. You go out to the overall society to raise funds for a cause and all that. அது இப்போ எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து ஒரு கட்டுமானத்துல எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து ஒரு தொண்டுக்கு நம்ம பணம் ரைஸ் பண்றோம். இப்போ ஹவுஸ் நீங்க சொன்ன அந்த ஹவுஸ் ஃபண்ட், அந்த இதை பத்தி கொஞ்சம் விளக்கமா சொல்லுங்களேன். What is your idea?
Yeah, the S&P and Global also we have this similar program, incubation program we call that. Because we were talking about youths, right? We have to find ways to create job opportunities, right? Again, we have to move away from the service industry, servicing countries, to knowledge-based economy, skill-based economy, right? How do we transition to is we have to start encouraging people, youths especially, coming out of colleges, graduating, give them an opportunity to pursue, right? Critical thinking, ideas, innovation, sparks. And the spark also will allow the economy to boom, and also allow people to go into the startup mentalities and coming up with new ideas and all these things, right? It's there to an extent. Again, the execution again is a problem, because most of the time the people in the management or people executing it wants to swindle than the ultimate dollar going to the people itself, right? So we have this program to go and invest in universities. We select some of the universities and we go look at their ideas and then go and invest. A lot of times the investment, a lot of people think that it's only just dollar or rupees or currency investment. A lot of times also they look at mentorship. A lot of people wants to come and look at mentorship, people in the same area, same industry, what they have done all across the world, and they're looking for mentorship so that they don't want to do the same mistakes what other bigger companies have done it. What are the challenges in executing those ideas? And also sometimes infrastructure support, or people come to us like S&P Global for the kind of data we have. It's not they are not requesting or looking for just our financial incentive, but they're also looking for some of the data points, right? What we collect, because these data points also help you to make your decisions with conviction. That's the idea, right? So இதை வந்து நம்ம எப்படி like state கொண்டு போக முடியும், தமிழ்நாடு மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்டேட்டுக்கு. How we could take that on the crowdsourcing, there are ideas we could bring. Crowdsourcing வந்து we can allow people like me, which I like to want to give back to the society, right? I want to, but I'm looking for a channel and a leader who can take the dollar and truly give back to the people. That's a critical problem. A lot of people like me wants to do, but what is a channel to help people, right? Because when you have a not a stable government, a government which cannot perform these duties, and the give back become a problem, right? We can do here and there, but having a proper channel. Again, we invest in a lot of universities. Again, it said that in the conversation beginning the MIT, Harvard, and Berkeley, we look for ideas, great ideas, ideas we think that which can take the society and the economy forward. It doesn't need to be related to what we are doing today, right? But we look at what the ideas are, right? Other we as a government, we should also do that. I think there is startup idea in Prime Minister Modi வந்து ஆரம்பிச்சாரு 2015 ல. But again, how it can execute it, unless you have a leader at a state level, like Kamal Hassan, or like you have a leader at a district level, taking that all the way to the people. Again, rural and urban, right? That's very, very important. So, I think crowdsourcing, I just combined that because we could raise dollars from either from companies like Google or even Microsoft, Apple. They want to actually invest in the next idea, right? Because they want to be part and parcel of the idea, selfishly also, right? How can we create a channel for companies like whether we could reach out to even Sundar Pichai, saying that, hey, how can you help this economy to grow, right? What level of investment Google can make in Tamil Nadu for the people of Tamil Nadu? Again, most of the time, again, people are going to ask, what is the right government? Do we have the right government? Do we have the right leader? Do we have the right management structure to execute it, right? So இது ஒரு பிளானா I think Kamal sir கிட்ட சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தேன் நான். So that idea, we should be able to do that. I think people like me, people like you, or a lot of people wants to not only financial help, and also from mentorship, ideas, suggestions. We can act as a bouncing board for the youth coming in, so that becomes a larger benefit.
எக்ஸலன்ட். சிறப்பு. உங்களுடைய விஷன் பத்தி எங்களுக்கு எடுத்துரைத்தமைக்கு மிக்க நன்றி. Hopefully, we will be there to execute it, come next elections. With that, I want to thank you, and then I want to hand it over back to Madhusudan. Madhu, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Kanan. Mr. Balaji, thank you very much for your time. I think in Teachers Day, so mentoring and creating awareness, what can be a better topic for today than that, right? I think that is very important. And Kamal sir, college schools eல்லாம் போயிட்டு இருக்க, before COVID he was going, and I think he will continue. That's very important. And one of the key things that you said, right? Lots of governments will come up with lots of good ideas, but execution is very, very important. And I think people like you, people like Kannan, and all of Maiam folks around the world, that's where we can help, Ilya. So it was a thought-provoking conversation. உங்களோட ஐடியாஸ், உங்களோட விஷன் நிறைவேறும்னு நம்ம நம்புவோம். அதை செயல்படுத்த நம்மளால என்ன ட்ரை பண்ண முடியுமோ மேக்ஸிமம் ட்ரை பண்ணுவோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நிறைவு பெறலாம். தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச்.
வாய்ப்புக்கு நன்றி.
தேங்க்யூ கண்ணன்.
நன்றி.
Maiam technical team for the live session. Thank you very much, Sajesh Vinod.